everyone, I'm Dr. Z. I'm a clinical psychologist specializing in transgender care. Welcome to my channel. Today, I'd like to answer one of the most common questions a lot of older adults ask me. And the question is, why is it now that I became aware, well, it's twofold. One, remember how I like breaking things into groups. Let's say group number one, why is it now that when I became aware that I actually am struggling with gender dysphoria, I'm losing my sleep. I just feel like I need to do something about it. And two, for those of you who did not just become aware of it, but have been aware of it for majority of your life, but have been able to deal with it, cope with it, why suddenly now you feel like you need to do something about it. So for both of the groups, what common theme is the need to do something about it. Where does the need come from? This is the most common question I see a lot of older adults ask me is why? Why now I have such an urge? Why am I thinking about transition? Why am I thinking about hormones? Why am I thinking about the gender affirming surgeries? I feel like I've been doing just fine without thinking about that. I've been doing just fine living my life, coping with it. Or now that I'm aware of it, why can't I just live my life being aware of it? Why do I have such a strong need? And as a result of this kind of formation of thought form where you're lying there and you're constantly thinking about it, you're losing sleep over it. Okay, now not all of you are losing sleep over it. Some of you are able to get a good night's sleep, but it's a metaphor, meaning that it is something that is distressing you. It is something that in the back of your mind, it is something to give you that gives you some element of anxiety. So why is it that suddenly you just feel like you're out to do something about it? Where does it come from? The answer for this is current, not only current, I would say, current strata, I would say, of awareness of transgender care and what accessible, but also our accessibility to information platforms such as this one, and our accessibility to internet, our accessibility to social media, our accessibility to everything out there in the world. One, let's break it down. So one is right now transgender care for adults is, you can read about it everywhere. You can find information on it everywhere. We have mental health providers such as myself who specialize exclusively in this field. We have gender affirming surgeons who specialize exclusively in this field. Never before have I had plastic surgeons that only focus on specialists working with transgender, gender diverse population. Never before have I had psychologists and mental health providers who specialize and focus solely on this field. We have groups, we have organizations, but more than anything, we have providers, medical providers, and clinicians who focus solely on this. So as a result, gender affirming care is very much in the forefront. It is written about all the time, especially with current political climate. It is talked about all of the time. It is all over the place. And as a result of it reaching such a big tipping point, more and more people have decided to come out. More and more people have decided to turn to gender affirming care for support to help them alleviate dysphoria. And then when it helps them, it betters their life. People then go on social platforms and they talk about it and they share. I mean, on Facebook alone, I have, Facebook keeps you at, I think, once you reach like 5,000 friends, I have kept it. I have 5,000 people who are connected to me. And I'm sure that if Facebook didn't keep it at 5,000, I would probably have a very, very big amount of transgender and gender diverse people connected to me. Just to show you, there's more people on social platforms talking about their lives, sharing their lives, being transparent with their lives. So as a result, here's the tricky part. Your brains have now, everybody's brains, all of our brains are now open to the possibility that this is possible. I want to say this again because this is why you're losing sleep over. This is why you can't stop thinking about to do something about it. All of our brains are suddenly open to the possibility that life with minimal or dysphoria-free is possible, and the gender affirming care is accessible by the large part, at least in the United States. Why is this so crucial? Because once our brains are open to the possibility, then our brains know that there is a solution to a problem. before you were living with gender dysphoria and not having things so out and open about what's accessible, what's not, people just didn't think that it was possible. Most of you didn't think that it was possible. And if you thought it was possible, it was like a huge hurdle one had to jump through in order to get access to all of the things. But once it becomes accessible to such extent that almost every insurance in the United States will cover bottom surgery, and I'm not talking about other surgeries, but this is the most common one that they will cover. And again, we're having providers who solely focus, we're having doctors, surgeons who solely focus on this field, and therapists. It becomes incredibly accessible. So it's this knowing that there is a solution, and potential solution could be transition for some of you. Again, transition, surgical medical transition, like I always say, is not mandatory, and it's not for everybody. But for those who have been thinking about it, and now when you see that this is a possibility, once your brain knows it's possibility, it will always yank on it. And this is why you can't stop by thinking about it. This is why you keep thinking about wanting to go through this. This is why in the past, if you coped with your gender dysphoria and you wish you could have transitioned, but you felt like you couldn't and it didn't really nag at you as much, now you feel like you really, really need to do this because you know that it's out there, you know that it's possible, you know it's within your reach, right? It's like a simple example comes to mind. You put a candy in front of a kid, you put a candy far away from a kid, it's like impossible to reach it, but you put a candy in front of a kid, it's within the possibility of reach. Of course, anybody is going to strive to reach it. It's kind of similar to, of course, we're not talking about candy, but you get the point. Your brain, your sense of self now understands that it is possible. This is one of the main reasons why so many of you are thinking about it, and so many of you are thinking about actually taking the steps to move forward toward surgical and medical transition. If you find yourself in this boat, that is okay. It is only natural for us as human beings. Once a solution is presented or some form of possibility, I want to be careful not to call it a solution because transition, surgical and medical, is not a solution for everybody. But once the possibility of that which you wanted suddenly becomes more viable, more possible, it's only natural for us as human beings to then want to think about it. The trick here is not to become prey to that thinking. The key here is to really kind of slow down. Okay, you know it's within the possibility. Now you just gotta think whether one, will it help you alleviate your dysphoria? Two, will it help you benefit your life? Three, do you still feel like you need it? And if all of those things somehow kind of not necessarily line up, but give you enough information to solidify that sense, then yeah, I guess that's something for you to think about. But this is natural and this is common. This is not your brain suddenly feels very obsessive about the idea of transition. This is not suddenly, why am I ruminating what's going on with me? This is none of those things. This is just simply your brain knows that the possibility is out there. You're thinking about the possibility because before it wasn't possible, but now that it is, of course, you'll be thinking about it. Comment below, let me know if you feel like you're in that boat when suddenly you're starting to think about and you just can't stop about wanting and desiring surgical or medical transition, and you've been struggling to understand why that is, how this lands to your answer. Comment below, let me know, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.